Good evening and welcome to the fourth Supper Club this year. We're beginning 2017, so Happy New Year to all of you as well. We are going to tackle another set of words, language from the Christian faith that we stumble over a little bit and deserve to be unpacked. Again, we're doing a series called Speaking Christian, reframing or reclaiming common Christian language that we don't always know what to do with. And so far, I think we're helping folks unpack. It's helpful to me, what we've been doing. So today, we're doing believing and faith. The words believing and faith. And talking about the way that, especially in Protestantism, we have equated belief with intellectual assent or intellectual agreements that we talk about God in certain ways. And if we don't intellectually agree with these assertions, that we don't have faith, that we're not Christians.
Right. No, and on the other hand, not that these things to have some integrity around your intellectual beliefs as a Christian obviously matters to us as well. So there's an ongoing conversation about what do you believe in that understanding of the word. We're gonna give you some alternative ways of thinking about what that word means. But the usual ways we use that word believe or belief is pretty broad, right? You can say, I believe it's going to rain tomorrow. I think it's going to rain, right? So almost in a predictive kind of way. Or I believe you, and I trust that what you're saying is true. Or you can say it in a way that's almost like, I believe the capital of Kansas is Wichita. I think it might be. I'm not really sure. It implies that we're not sure. So these are ways we use it. Religiously, we usually mean this as we believe certain things to be true that we're not, that they require, this is why faith is a similar word. There's some doubt about them, right? If you knew it, you would just say, I know this.
Right, the difference is believe and know.
Right. So but we talk about you've got to have faith or you've got to believe certain things because there's some uncertainty about them. So that's the basic way most of us understand belief. But before the 1600s.
Right. So what we struggle with is, I think and Borg things, that we struggle with believe that versus believe in. And before the Enlightenment, when the church or people in the church talked about I believe in, they meant I set my heart, I trust this, and it was almost always the object of the belief was a person. Right. I believe in you. I love you. That the word believe really is beloved. I give my love, my heart to you.
It comes from this old English word that means love, and the root is the same.
Yeah.
As to beloved. So it's much more of a heart thing than what we've turned it into.
Into a head thing, exactly. And the word, what I love, believe is actually the Latin word is credo. And it's the word for creed. When we profess or confess the creeds together, it literally means I set my heart on this truth. That's where I put my heart and my soul, my being, in that truth. Not intellectual, I believe that, but I believe in. This is where I put my life.
A lot of this shifted with the Enlightenment when we started to realize that we could think about even things like the Bible or our faith in the same ways that we thought about other scientific endeavors. We started to look at them as to believe something. Is this true scientifically? And we've been wrestling ever since with something that's fundamentally, we think, a faith is a heart, fundamentally is a heart movement first. There's an intellectual integrity that you want to bring to that conversation. But we've been wrestling ever since the Enlightenment with this.
Right, believing that there's some historical accuracy that we can prove, which isn't the way faith is created to be. And
it's a relationship, right? If it's a relationship with God, it's not the question of does God exist or Was Jesus, did he resurrect bodily? Do I believe these things? We can have conversations about these things, but underneath all of that is a heart relationship. Do I beloved God? Do I beloved Jesus? Feels much more important, and outside of that context, this just becomes a kind of intellectual, blah.
There's a theological term,
Yeah.
blah. Okay, so do we want to talk about faith and the two ways? We can talk about two different understandings of the word faith. And faith and belief, again, can be used interchangeably or get used interchangeably. But faith has a couple of definitions that we can work with. And one is the word fidelitas. It's a Latin word. Clearly, fidelity comes from this word, fidelitas, faithfulness. And it means that you're committed, you're loyal. It's just like if you're in a relationship with a friend or a partner, that you are attentive to that relationship. And that's one way of talking about faith, is that it's that faithful relationship with God.
The other one is also from the Latin, what we call fiduciary, a fiduciary relationship. You see the same root to faith. And this is about trust, right? To be the trustee of your affairs. And so here the opposite of faith is not doubt, or it's the opposite is mistrust, right? And it can create a kind of anxiety. I think Borg does a nice job of talking about living in the world with faith is about living with a kind of trust that God's there, that reduces our anxiety, our fears in the world.
Yeah, that life is trustable, God is trustable and trustworthy, and that is liberating.
Yeah.
So it liberates us from the fear that we don't believe these things, to trusting and living so that you can be transformed in love. Yeah.
And how different that is from the idea of faith as I've got to believe, that God's going to intervene in this moment. This kind of sense of faith that I'm going to believe, darn it.
Yeah, which is almost a works.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
right.
to have faith then becomes a work rather than a gift.
A relationship of trust and faithfulness, attentiveness. It shifts everything back to this kind of to beloving. I love that shift to loving God, loving Jesus, and within that context, then we can talk about some of these intellectual pieces. We can have those discussions as part of our traditions that's been wrestling with those things throughout history.
Right. Soren Kierkegaard, the 19th century philosopher, religion professor, talked about faith as a floating over an ocean of love, just relaxing and floating, so that love buoys you, that God is buoying us in life, and we don't have to flounder and be afraid, but that we can relax in that and then still be engaged in the conversation of who is God, not am I in or out because I believe certain things or not.
I think sometimes we even we almost hide behind those intellectual conversations to keep from going to that place, to that buoying that scares us. To can I trust
can
that
you
I can
let surrender?
Let go. So I'm going to stay behind, safely behind my intellectual doubts and
That's
questions.
good. That's good. It's risky. Faith is risky.
Right.
I love the conversation that Martin Buber, a Jewish theologian, talked about the I-thou relationship rather than the I-it. And he said that we have to move from talking about God to talking with God, an I-thou, face-to-face.
Honored relationship.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So those are just some ideas. We have some questions for you to talk about for your supper group. And these are simple. Talk about your understanding of belief and trust in God. What does that mean to you? And how do you make sense? Second question, how do you make sense? What's going on in your mind and heart when we stand together if you're part of the worshiping community, when we stand together and recite creeds, what's happening with you? Are you crossing your fingers behind your back? What's going on?
Right. And maybe third, you can think about that shift from belief to belief in. So these, when you think about your faith, where are you in that spectrum? Is it more important for you thinking about things, I need to believe that Jesus rose in body, or is it about believing in a relationship? Where are you? How does it shift it when you think about it differently wherever you are? So,
This is good.
Yeah.
It's helpful to me.
It is. It's good.
All right. See you.
Thanks.